Educational analyst. Graeme, welcome to AM News.
Thank you very much.
The 2013 Matric results came out last night, with the Basic Education Minister announcing a 78.2 overall Matric pass rate. What is your take on that?
Well, my take is the problems obviously haven't disappeared. We must keep focusing on them. But you know what? 500,000 kids have done very well. So I'm saying let's celebrate that. I'm not saying let's celebrate to the point of exclusion, but I am saying let's celebrate 500,000 kids who've done very well.
All right. Now, speaking of celebrating and celebrating the marks, I mean, we cannot deny and ignore the fact that critics have criticized, of course, the famous 30% pass rate. What are we celebrating? Are we celebrating the quality of the pass rate, or are we celebrating the quantity of the pass rate?
The quality is a problem because half the kids don't even make it. Half the kids drop out. And you and I wrote Matric probably in the days when 30% was allowed. So it's always been allowed, and you and I think, are now okay. So no one must aim for 30%. It's a terrible pass mark. It's not good enough. And even the kids who got matrics with exemption for university are probably not going to get into a university.
Yeah, and Professor Jonathan Jansen, the Vice-Chancellor of the University of the Free State, has suggested a 50% pass rate, or minimum pass rate, rather. Is that even sensible? Is it realistic?
Well, it's a debate we've got to have. And I'm just saying let's not do the debate now, because that undermines the kids, and it doesn't do anything for the fact that we can do a lot more. And maybe that's what Jonathan is saying.
Yeah. Okay, let's move on to the provinces now. The Eastern Cape has once again produced results. They're still at the bottom, of course, of the pass rate log. What do you think is the problem with that specific province?
Well, specifically in Eastern Cape, I think it's both poverty and I think the fact that the department and the teachers are at war. And so the kids have got on with it, they've improved, they've done better than last year. But actually, if you have a department and teachers that are fighting with each other, you'll never get good results.
But would you say that Free State is as equally, it shares equal challenges as far as resources, as far as environmental factors are concerned, yet they aimed for a higher pass rate this year?
Free State had an MEC who was really hands-on. And I think Tate Makwe, I think his hands-on stuff has shown results. So I think that's the difference, is that the teachers are much more dedicated. The accountability goes right up to the politicians and down to the officials. So I think there's a lot more accountability there.
All right. Now, we cannot ignore the fact that, of course, there are contributing factors towards, a pupil's learning environment, and that is the teacher, that is the community, that is the parents. What would you say about the teachers', benchmark, or the teachers' readiness, or how they were prepared as far as training is concerned with these particular matriculants of 2013?
Look, all the information shows us that teachers have a problem. But I think there's enough work to do on the good teachers. And many of them are very good. Many of them put their hands in their pockets. Many of them face 100 kids in a class and still teach well. So I would say there is a problem, but let's not focus on the problem.
So what is the intervention then? Let's talk about the solution. What is the intervention then that you would suggest to the government?
I think it's better training and better support at school. So, and I think better management. So I think if you're a good maths teacher and you want to know where do you go to get better maths, there isn't a place at the moment.
What is your comment, Graeme, on the benchmark test that currently tertiary institutions are embarking on? I mean, we know that UCT has launched their benchmark test where first-time tertiary students have to write some form of test before qualifying to enter into varsity. Does that say something about the authenticity of the matriculant senior certificate?
Well, I heard someone yesterday say that the benchmark tests are moving, and they're also progressing like our kids are progressing. And we're seeing that they far more, what kind of support do people need in the transition from school to university? And I think there's a terrible support that people need. They've never seen a computer lab, they've never seen a science lab, and they need to know how those work.
Absolutely. I mean, even the Basic Education Minister mentioned this morning at a briefing that not all pupils would like to embark on an academic journey. Some of them want to go to work. But the problem, or rather the question, is that will the senior certificate be enough for them to apply for employment this year?
Well, it probably won't be enough. And the reality is that half the kids probably will never get jobs, let alone the dropout rate. And I always use the example of Spain, where also half the kids, or 60% of the kids, are unemployed. And yet their education system hasn't deteriorated. So it's not the education system's fault only that there aren't jobs.
Yeah.
It's also the education system. We could do a better take on education. We could do more to make sure people get educated, but that's not going to create jobs.
Now, in last night's, of course, announcement of the 2013 Matric pass rate, the minister mentioned that they had expected a 75% pass rate. Of course, they exceeded that to 78.2%. Now, what is your forecast for 2013? What can we expect from the matriculants of 2014?
I think we're just doing better and better, and I think it's because of our focus. So let's claim the victories. It's because we are saying we want education to be a national priority. We want our kids to do well. We want our teachers to be in class. And so let's keep the pressure up. Let's keep the debate going. Let's celebrate cautiously, but let's celebrate.
All right. Thank you so much, Graeme Bloch, of course, an education analyst. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, moving on to other stories, the Eastern Cape Health Department